Hi, I'm Ryan Hunter, and this is Kalispell Connections, a program where we talk about issues important to the community. And with me today is Paul Travis, the Executive Director of the Flathead Land Trust, who also happens to be my boss. Full disclosure, I work with the Flathead Land Trust, but welcome, Paul.
Thanks for having me, Ryan. Appreciate it.
Yeah. So, a question that I know we get all the time and I continue to get from friends and family members is, what is it exactly that we do at the Flathead Land Trust?
Right. Yeah. It's a very common question, and you can either get real detailed or real broad with it. So I'll probably start broad and maybe get a little more detailed. So essentially, we mostly work on private land conservation. So private land conservation, or conservation easements, which is a term that many of you may know. Essentially, it's a way for private landowners to conserve their own properties. And what that means is it's a way to keep it intact so it's not subdivided and developed, or at least overly developed. And it also protects the conservation values of a property. So we typically try to conserve properties that have some kind of conservation value, whether it be riparian habitat for animals and water quality, or wetlands, or healthy forests, or even farmland. So all those things are considered conservation values and worthy of protection. Even though it's private land, those conservation values are public. The public gains from having those things conserved. And another one that I forgot to mention is just the open space. The scenic beauty of places like what we have here in the Flathead Valley are conserved with conservation easements. So the bulk of our work is private land conservation and conservation easements, but we also do community conservation projects, and a lot of those involve public lands or turning private lands to public lands. It's not a big part of what we do, but certainly we have some high profile projects that we'll talk about today that are those types of projects. And I think the public probably understands that a little bit more, because you're getting the chance to add to the public ownership of land and also protect in perpetuity these lands that are so important to us and our outdoor heritage and way of life here in the Flathead. So we're very excited to be working on those projects. That's certainly been something somewhat new for us. So hopefully that kind of gave it in a nutshell. Certainly can go into more detail if you want to ask more questions, Ryan.
Yeah, I just think really to highlight the fact that our work is so important in the Valley, especially with the growth we're seeing. We continue to see more land that's being gobbled up because of development. And it's so important that to preserve what people cherish about the Valley, we conserve some of that private land is important. And we've had some success over the last few decades of our existence. Can you talk a little bit about how much land we protected?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, that's great. A couple decades, 35 years as of this year, that we've been a grassroots nonprofit organization working to protect those lands. So, like I said, we do several different types of projects, but in all, whether it's a partner project where we work towards public lands, creating new public lands, or straight up private land conservation, we've been able to conserve a little over 15,000 acres so far since 1985, working with a number of different landowners and agencies and public officials and other organizations. It's certainly a group effort. A little bit about land trusts and how that works. There's land trusts all over the country, thousands of land trusts. Here in Montana, there's 12 land trusts that usually operate within their individual communities. There's also statewide land trusts, and there's national land trusts that operate here. So the Nature Conservancy or Trust for Public Land or the Montana Land Reliance are kind of those bigger folks that you may have heard about. But then we are a little bit more similar to a Gallatin Valley Land Trust or a Five Valleys Land Trust, who serve individual communities. And so land trusts are just important for each individual community or for the landscape that they serve. And they serve a purpose, like Ryan was saying, with the development that's happening, especially as seen this year in 2020, the big pandemic land rush here in Montana, we're becoming more and more vital and more important so that we can retain those values that we love so dear, and hopefully can protect places like the Flathead Valley from becoming one big suburban area. So that's kind of the bigger values of what land trusts provide for the community, and we're here forever. Our type of protection is perpetual. A conservation easement is perpetual, and we actually service each of those easement properties. We go out at least once a year and check on the properties that we hold conservation easements on, make sure that everything is being upheld, that those conservation values are being protected. And we have these great long-term relationships with the landowners that are also our partners in doing that. So it's very gratifying work for sure.
We have two big projects we're working on that are really kind of landmark projects for us. The first one, the North Shore of Flathead Lake. Could you speak to that one?
Yeah, absolutely. The North Shore of Flathead Lake, as most people know, is one of the biggest landscapes that we have that's still all open space. And a lot of it already is protected, but a lot of it isn't. And we are working on a project on the Summers side of the North Shore of Flathead Lake, directly adjacent to Summers town site, just on the east side of Summers, called Summers Beach. And we're working with a longtime Flathead Valley family, the Slider family, who currently owns the property and wants to see some public good come of this property. They don't want to just put it out there for sale to the highest bidder. So we thank landowners that have that foresight to do that. So we began working with Montana Fish, Wildlife, and Parks, and we've gotten the interest of the Montana State Parks division of Fish, Wildlife, and Parks. And right now we're going through the process of hopefully creating that site as a new Montana State Park. Flathead Lake has for the size and for the amount of people that use Flathead Lake, very limited in public access spots. And the neat thing about this site, it would be different in that it just really doesn't lend itself to motorized boat use. It's just too shallow. And in the spring months and in the winter months, it's a big, broad, sandy beach, which you really don't find anywhere else except on the North Shore of Flathead Lake. It's like going to the ocean. I was just out there yesterday. It was beautiful. There was birds everywhere. Big pieces of wood that have washed up on the shoreline, all gnarled and just beautiful. And people that know about it, they know about it, and they know its value. So certainly, I don't need to speak to them, but we want to make sure that this portion of it is protected, but also has the ability to be used by people to a good degree. So we're really excited about that one. One thing I did want to add to that, sorry, I was just going to add that, as we're working through the process here with Montana State Parks, we're hopeful, we don't have an exact timeline, but we're hopeful by sometime next year, maybe the end of next year, that this would be purchased and be acquired to become a state park. But part of that process will involve the public also on what will be there, what kind of amenities will be there. Will it be real minimal, or will it be, a little bit bigger than that as far as things like bathrooms, a parking area, a trail, picnic tables, that sort of thing. I don't think Summers Beach lends itself to your typical state park model. And we've received a lot of public comment that said that they want to keep it as natural and as open as possible, which we're very supportive of. But those comments, Fish, Wildlife, and Parks will be asking for probably in the first part of 2021 through public scoping.
Yeah, and I know folks who've been around a long time, they talk about, their experiences down on that beach, and people really cherish it. So public involvement and support of this will be huge, and it'll be just a great project when we're able to complete it. The second project, the Bad Rock Canyon project, can you speak to that?
Yeah, this is really our biggest project right now, our biggest push. We entered into an agreement about a year and a half ago, I want to say, with the landowner, Columbia Falls Aluminum Company. They are owned by, they are a subsidiary by their parent company, which is called Glencore. And that company owns an 800-acre tract of land just south and east of the Flathead River. So just east of Columbia Falls and south of where the old aluminum plant sat. And the neat thing about that land is it's pristine and untouched. You know, a lot of people ask me, oh, well, does it have the pollution that occurred on the land to the north? And it really doesn't at all. The company bought it really as buffer land and did nothing with it. Didn't use it really for anything except maybe a couple community events. So we're lucky in that fact. I mean, they bought it decades ago. And it's really one of the biggest large tracts of undeveloped land along the main stem of the Flathead River that's left. And not only that, it's at a geographic pinch point right there at the mouth of Bad Rock Canyon, where two mountain ranges, the Swan Range and the Whitefish Range, come down. And it's incredibly important for wildlife connectivity. So tons of wildlife pass through there, from grizzly bears, black bears, deer, elk, you name it, rely on that property. Even though it's only 800 acres, they rely on that property to get back and forth to these other wild lands that are surrounding that area. So location, 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 it's prime for that. Obviously, it has the Flathead River running through it. It borders 1.6 miles of the Flathead River. And again, for water quality, for recreationalists, for anglers, that's, you know, to have a property like this is extremely important. It also has some habitat that you just don't see every day on the main stem of the Flathead River anymore. It has a cottonwood gallery forest, which the size and the quality of forest that's on this property is really rare. Cottonwood gallery forest, if you didn't know, 50% of bird species here in Montana rely on that type of forest and are very prevalent there. And it's a nice mixed forest. You know, you have mixed conifers in with these deciduous trees. And then you have on the west end of the property some open areas with ponderosa pine. You have wetlands, extremely important wetlands on the property. A spring creek, which is important for migrating waterfowl and birds, especially in the spring months or late winter months when everything else is frozen. It just has so many of these amazing attributes. It's really a property that we've had our eye on for decades. And now we have the opportunity to help Fish, Wildlife, and Parks purchase it to become a wildlife management area. So we couldn't be more excited.
Haven't been out on that property. Is just absolutely spectacular. Such a gem and so close to the communities in the valley. And you know, that's just two of the projects we're working on. We have a number of other things we work on all the time, including the conservation easements. But in the little bit of time that we have left, could you speak to, we have a holiday party coming up, and just, you know, speak to that, but also how folks can get involved in the organization if they want to support our work or learn more about it?
Yeah, absolutely. So as you can imagine, with the pandemic, we're going to do our holiday party a little different this year. And everyone's like, not another Zoom virtual party or meeting. And well, yeah, we're going to do that, but we pre-recorded it. So we're going to have a pre-recorded, really fun message that's going to be available next Thursday on the 10th of December. And we'll be sending out a link, and we'll have a link on our website, which is flatheadlandtrust.org, where you can watch really a recap and an update, a lot more detail than what I was able to spend here in this interview. And we'll have some nice photos. And then we give an annual Flathead Land Trust Conservation Leadership Award, usually to 2 individuals every year. And we're going to be giving those to the 2 individuals this year that receive it. I don't want to break the news yet, so you'll have to wait until next Thursday to find out who that is. But we're really excited about that. And like I said, we were able to, I was out on the North Shore of Flathead Lake yesterday when it was all bright and sunny, and we filmed it out there. So it's just beautiful. So definitely tune in for that. And certainly if you can't tune in on Thursday, it's going to be up on our website, on our Facebook page. You can watch it anytime. It should be full of information and a lot of fun too. One thing I wanted to say, going back to the projects, both Summers Beach and the Bad Rock Canyon project. So both of those projects were raising money for them to implement them. For the Bad Rock project, we have a lot of money to raise. We have about $500,000 that we need to raise in total, and we have a pretty tight timeline to do it. We have just over a year now to get that done. And I encourage you, if you want to help in any way to make that possible, please go to our website, flatheadlandtrust.org. Right on the homepage, you'll see Bad Rock Canyon. You'll also see Summers Beach, a lot of information. We have some videos that we shot. Check those out. And there's a donation page as well. So go ahead and throw your support that way if that works for you. Otherwise, just help spread the word. You know, that really makes a big difference. I've talked to a lot of people just today that are helping spread the word about both those projects. So we're very appreciative of that. So hopefully you can make it and attend our virtual, or at least watch our virtual holiday party. And when we can get together in person sometime in the future, we'll do that, and that'll be great as well. So looking forward to that.
Great. And, I'll try to include we have a video, Bad Rock Canyon video, project video that I'll try to put in the comments with this one so people can see that. And really on that project, I mean, you can't find a better, more important area for habitat protection in the valley. I mean, it's just so critical. But Paul, thank you so much for taking the time to do this interview. And we'll continue to do the great work we do in the valley.
Yeah, your help too. I mean, Ryan is a big part of our organization, so I just wanted to give kudos to him for making a lot of this conservation work possible. So thank you, and thanks to everyone.
Yeah, thanks, Paul.